The Chimera Protocol. Chapter 1, The Shattered Crucible. The cold, sterile air of Site X hung heavy, a silent testament to the twisted experiments conducted within its steel walls. Deep beneath Ganymede's icy crust, a labyrinth of laboratories hummed with a sinister symphony of machinery and alien technology. In the heart of this scientific abomination, submerged in a translucent stasis pod, Subject Zero floated in a state of suspended animation. The first and only successful Chimera, Zero, was a patchwork of human and alien DNA, a living testament to the hubris of the Terran Alliance's genetic engineering program. Suddenly, the rhythmic pulse of the stasis pod faltered. Alarms blared through the once silent corridors, and a voice, cold and robotic, echoed through the chamber. Security breach detected, initiating emergency protocols. Zero's eyes snapped open, a kaleidoscope of fragmented memories flashing through their mind. The guttural roar of a Draken warrior, the sinuous movements of a Silaxian hunter, the serene hum of a Zephyrian hive mind, a symphony of alien instincts warring for dominance. A primal scream tore from Zero's throat as their body convulsed, racked with pain as their genetic enhancements activated. Muscles bulged, skin shimmered, and a surge of adrenaline coursed through their veins. The stasis pod hissed open, and Zero stumbled out, their vision blurred, their senses overwhelmed. The once sterile lab was now a battlefield, strewn with the broken bodies of scientists and security personnel. The air crackled with energy blasts, and the stench of ozone and burnt flesh filled their nostrils. Zero's enhanced hearing picked up a faint, rhythmic thudding, growing closer with each passing second. Instinct took over, and they dove for cover behind a toppled console just as a squad of armored figures rounded the corner. The intruders were not human. Their exoskeletons gleamed with a metallic sheen, and their eyes glowed with an eerie crimson light. "The Chimera has escaped!" one of the figures hissed in a guttural language. "Find it and terminate it!" Zero's heart pounded in their chest as they pressed their back against the cold metal. They didn't know who these attackers were or why they were here, but their instincts screamed danger. Their genetically enhanced vision pierced the darkness, revealing the intruders' advanced weaponry and ruthless efficiency as they dispatched any remaining resistance. Suddenly, a voice whispered in Zero's mind, a gentle caress amidst the chaos. "Don't fight them. Follow me." Zero hesitated, unsure whether to trust the disembodied voice. But something in its tone, a flicker of warmth and desperation, resonated with their own confusion and fear. With a silent prayer to whatever gods might be listening, Zero followed the voice's guidance. Slipping through the shadows, their movements swift and silent as a predator stalking its prey. They navigated the labyrinthine corridors, their enhanced senses guiding them through the smoke and debris. The voice led them to a hidden access tunnel, a narrow passage leading deeper into the facility. As they descended, the voice grew stronger, clearer. "My name is Anya Petrova. I'm a scientist here. I created you." Zero's heart skipped a beat. The creator? The one responsible for this monstrous existence? "I know you're scared and confused," Anya continued, her voice filled with remorse. "But you have to trust me. I can help you." As Zero emerged from the tunnel, Anya materialized before them, her face pale and etched with worry. She was a young woman, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and determination. "You're the Chimera," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the din of battle. "The first successful one. They'll kill you if they catch you." Zero met her gaze, their mind racing. They didn't know who to trust or what to believe. But Anya's words ignited a spark of hope in their heart, a desperate longing for answers. "Who are you?" Zero asked, their voice raspy and hesitant. "Why did you create me?" Anya took a deep breath, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and determination. "I'll explain everything," she said, "but we have to get out of here first. Come with me." As Zero followed Anya deeper into the bowels of Site X, the sounds of battle faded behind them. They were on the run, pursued by both the Terran Alliance and their mysterious attackers. But with Anya by their side, Zero finally had a glimmer of hope, a chance to uncover the truth behind their creation and find their place in this chaotic galaxy. Chapter 2, The Hunted. The frigid winds of Ganymede howled across the barren landscape, a symphony of desolation that echoed Zero's inner turmoil. Each gust of wind seemed to whisper secrets, carried on the icy breath of the moon. Zero, their Draken-enhanced senses straining, scanned the horizon for any sign of pursuit. Beside them, Anya stumbled, her breath coming in ragged gasps as she struggled to keep up with Zero's superhuman pace. "How much farther?" Anya asked, her voice barely audible above the wind. Zero paused, their eyes scanning the terrain. "Not far," they replied, their voice gruff and unfamiliar. It was the voice of a Draken warrior, one of the many voices vying for dominance within their fractured mind. Anya nodded, her face pale and drawn. "We need to find shelter. My suit's not rated for this kind of exposure." Zero's Salaxian instincts kicked in, their eyes scanning the landscape for a place to hide. They spotted a faint glint of metal in the distance, a half-buried structure jutting out from a ridge of ice. "There," Zero said, pointing towards the structure. "An old outpost." They reached the outpost, a relic of a forgotten conflict. The entrance was sealed, but Zero's Draken strength made short work of the rusted metal door. Inside, the air was stale and cold, but it offered a respite from the biting wind. As Anya huddled for warmth, Zero scanned the interior. It was a Spartan space, littered with broken equipment and discarded data pads. A single terminal flickered to life as they approached, its screen displaying a warning message. "Unauthorized access detected." Zero ignored the warning and accessed the terminal's archives. Lines of code scrolled across the screen, revealing the outpost's history as a listening post, abandoned years ago during the Zen Dominion conflict. "This place is a gold mine," Anya said, her voice filled with excitement. "It could have information on the Ascendancy." Zero nodded, their fingers dancing across the keyboard. They delved deeper into the archives, their telepathic abilities allowing them to sift through the vast amounts of data with lightning speed. "I found something," Zero said, their voice laced with a newfound determination. "Project Chimera. It's all here." Anya leaned closer, her eyes widening as she read the files. They detailed the Ascendancy's twisted experiments, their relentless pursuit of genetic perfection, their desire to create a master race to rule the galaxy. "They wanted to control evolution itself," Anya whispered, her voice filled with disgust. "To play God." Zero's fists clenched, their anger rising. They were a product of this hubris, a living testament to the Ascendancy's twisted ambitions. Anya reached out, placing a hand on Zero's arm. "I'm so sorry," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I never wanted this for you." Zero met her gaze, their eyes filled with a mixture of pain and confusion. "Why did you do it?" they asked, their voice thick with emotion. Anya hesitated, her eyes downcast. "I was young, ambitious," she said. "I believed I was making a difference, helping to protect humanity. But I was blinded by their promises, their lies." She took a deep breath, her voice steadier now. "I implanted a failsafe in your genetic code," she confessed. "A way to neutralize your abilities if you ever became a threat." Zero's heart pounded in their chest. A failsafe? A way to erase everything that made them unique, everything that made them strong. "I don't want to be a weapon," Zero said, their voice filled with a newfound resolve. "I want to be in control of my own destiny." Anya nodded, a flicker of hope in her eyes. "Then we fight," she said, "together." In the dimly lit outpost, a bond was forged, a partnership born from shared pain and a desperate hope for a better future. Zero and Anya, the hunted and the hunted, united by a common enemy and a burning desire for justice. Chapter 3. The Telepathic Nexus. The air grew thick with anticipation as Zero and Anya followed the faint, telepathic whispers echoing through the labyrinthine tunnels beneath Ganymede's surface. The passageways carved into the ancient ice were dimly lit by bioluminescent moss, casting eerie shadows that danced and writhed like ghostly figures. Zero's Draken senses were on high alert, their every muscle tensed for danger, while Anya clung to Zero's arm, her eyes wide with apprehension. "How much farther?" Anya whispered, her voice barely a breath against the chill air. Zero paused, closing their eyes as they reached out with their newfound telepathic abilities, tracing the delicate threads of the signal, guiding them deeper into the icy maze. "The call grows stronger," they replied, their voice echoing with the resonance of the Zephyrian consciousness. We're close. The tunnel opened into a cavernous chamber, its walls adorned with intricate carvings depicting scenes of war and peace, life and death. In the center of the chamber, bathed in a soft, ethereal glow, sat an elderly figure with translucent skin and eyes that shimmered like polished silver. "Welcome, Chimera," the figure said, his voice resonating with a calm authority that echoed through Zero's mind. "I am Kale, elder of the Zephyrians. We have been expecting you." Anya gasped, her hand flying to her mouth in astonishment. "Zephyrians? I thought you were all—" Kale raised a calming hand. "Gone? Eradicated by the Alliance? We have learned to adapt, to conceal our presence from those who seek to exploit our gifts." Zero approached Kale, drawn by an inexplicable sense of kinship. "You know who I am?" they asked, their voice tinged with both hope and trepidation. Kale smiled, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. "I know much, Chimera. I sense the turmoil within you, the clash of disparate minds vying for dominance. But I also sense your strength, your potential. You are not just a weapon, but a bridge between worlds." Zero's heart pounded in their chest. Could this be the answer they had been searching for? A way to understand the chaos within their own mind? Over the following days, Zero immersed themselves in the Zephyrian way of life, learning to control their telepathic abilities and understand the delicate balance of their chimeric nature. Kale became their mentor, guiding them through meditation and mental exercises designed to harmonize the conflicting voices in their head. Anya watched Zero's transformation with a mixture of awe and trepidation. She saw the Chimera's anger and pain gradually give way to a sense of peace and purpose. But she also knew that Zero's newfound power could be a double-edged sword, a weapon that could be used for good or for evil. One evening, as Zero and Kale sat beneath the bioluminescent glow of the cavern, Kale shared a chilling tale of the Zephyrians' past, their enslavement by the Terran Alliance, and the brutal experiments that had nearly wiped them out. Zero listened, their heart filled with rage and sorrow, their empathy for the Zephyrians deepening their resolve to fight against the Ascendancy. "The Alliance fears what they cannot control," Kale said, his voice filled with quiet fury. "They seek to suppress our gifts, to exploit our power for their own selfish ends. But they will not succeed. The time for retribution is near." As Zero gazed into the flickering light, they felt a sense of awakening, a realization that their destiny was not to be a weapon, but a beacon of hope for a galaxy teetering on the brink of war. Chapter 4. The Warrior's Forge. The harsh sunlight of Viridian 4 beat down on the dusty training grounds, a stark contrast to the icy depths of Ganymede. Zero, clad in lightweight Draken armor, sweat beading on their brow, sparred with Drax, the battle-hardened mercenary. Their movements were a blur of motion, a dance of aggression and precision. Drax, his scales shimmering in the sunlight, parried Zero's strikes with effortless grace. "Faster," he growled, his voice a low rumble. "You fight like a hatchling." Zero lunged forward, their Draken instincts flaring. Their blows were powerful, fueled by a lifetime of suppressed rage and a newfound sense of purpose. Yet, Drax remained unyielding, deflecting each attack with a flick of his wrist or a shift of his weight. "Anger clouds your judgment," Drax said, his voice stern but not unkind. "A warrior must be calm, focused. Let the rage fuel your strength, but don't let it control you." Zero stumbled back, panting. They met Drax's gaze, their eyes filled with a mixture of frustration and respect. "You fight like a demon," they said, their voice thick with exertion. "Are all Draken warriors like you?" Drax lowered his weapon, a wry smile spreading across his reptilian face. "Once, perhaps," he replied, his voice heavy with a hint of sorrow. "But the Alliance has broken our spirit, enslaved our people. I am a shadow of what I once was." As they rested in the shade of a nearby rock formation, Drax recounted his tragic past. He spoke of his homeworld, a lush jungle planet rich in resources, targeted by the Alliance for exploitation. He told of his family's capture, their forced labor in the Alliance's mines, their eventual demise at the hands of their captors. Zero listened intently, their heart heavy with empathy. They had never known their own family, their origins a mystery shrouded in scientific jargon and ethical violations. But Drax's story resonated with their own pain, their shared experience of loss and betrayal. I vowed to avenge my family, Drax continued, his voice hardening, to make the Alliance pay for their crimes. But revenge is a hollow victory. It leaves you empty, alone. He turned to Zero, his eyes filled with a newfound understanding. You are not a weapon, Chimera. You are a survivor, a warrior. Embrace your strength, but do not let it consume you. Use it to protect those you care for, to fight for a better future. Zero nodded, their heart filled with a newfound resolve. They had found a kindred spirit in Drax, a mentor who understood their pain and shared their thirst for justice. In the weeks that followed, Zero trained relentlessly under Drax's tutelage, their skills sharpening with each passing day. They learned to channel their rage into focused aggression, to use their telepathic abilities to anticipate their opponent's moves, to combine their Draken strength with Salaxian agility and Zephyrian intuition. As Zero's confidence grew, so did their bond with their newfound family. Anya's scientific knowledge, Kale's telepathic wisdom, and Drax's combat expertise formed a formidable arsenal against the Ascendancy. They were a team, united by a common purpose and a shared belief in a better future. The Warrior's Forge had tempered Zero's spirit, transforming them from a frightened fugitive into a confident leader. They were ready to face the Ascendancy, to expose their crimes, and to fight for a galaxy where all beings could live in freedom and harmony. Chapter 5. The Reckoning. The asteroid base loomed in the distance, a jagged shard of rock and metal bathed in the cold light of a distant star. Its surface bristled with defensive turrets and energy shields, a silent testament to the Ascendancy's paranoia and power. Zero, concealed within the shadows of the stolen Alliance scout ship, felt a knot of tension tighten in their chest. This was it, the culmination of their journey, the moment of truth. They glanced at their companions, their faces etched with a mixture of determination and apprehension. Anya, her fingers dancing across the ship's console, muttered a string of code, her voice a low hum in the quiet cockpit. "Security systems bypassed," she announced, a triumphant glint in her eyes. "We're in." Drax, his scales shimmering in the dim light, checked his weapons, a low growl rumbling in his throat. "Let's make this quick," he said, his voice thick with anticipation. Kale, his eyes closed in deep concentration, reached out with his telepathic tendrils, probing the minds of the base's occupants. "Minimal resistance," he reported, a hint of satisfaction in his voice. "They don't suspect a thing." Zero nodded, taking a deep breath as they prepared to disembark. "Remember," they said, their voice steady and resolute, "we're not here to kill. We're here to expose the truth." The team made their way through the labyrinthine corridors of the base, their movements swift and silent. Zero's enhanced senses guided them, alerting them to the presence of guards and automated security systems. They bypassed locked doors, hacked security terminals, and gathered data crystals, piecing together the evidence of the Ascendancy's crimes. As they delved deeper into the facility, a sense of unease settled over them. The air grew heavy, the silence oppressive. Kale's telepathic probes revealed a growing sense of panic among the base's personnel, a feeling that something was terribly wrong. Suddenly, a door hissed open before them, revealing a vast chamber bathed in a sterile white light. In the center of the chamber, encased in a stasis pod, stood a figure that sent a chill down Zero's spine. It was another Chimera, taller and more muscular than Zero, their skin a patchwork of scales, fur, and chitin. Their eyes burned with an unholy light, a testament to the Ascendancy's twisted experiments. "Subject 1, Anya whispered, her voice trembling. "The perfect weapon." The stasis pod hissed open and Subject 1 stepped out, their movements fluid and predatory. Their eyes locked onto Zero, a feral grin spreading across their face. "So the original," Subject 1 sneered, their voice a chilling blend of human and alien. "Let's see how you fare against the Ascendancy's ultimate creation." Subject 1 lunged, their movements a blur of speed and power. Zero barely had time to react, their instincts taking over as they dodged and parried. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of sounds, the clash of metal on metal, the sizzle of energy blasts, the guttural roars of two apex predators locked in mortal combat. The battle raged, a whirlwind of superhuman abilities. Subject One's strength and speed were formidable, but Zero's agility and telepathic foresight allowed them to stay one step ahead. Yet as the fight wore on, Zero realized that they were outmatched. Subject One was too strong, too fast, too ruthless. In a desperate gamble, Zero reached out with their mind, probing Subject One's consciousness. They saw a flicker of humanity buried beneath the rage and aggression, a spark of pain and loneliness that mirrored their own. "We are not so different," Zero said, their voice echoing through the telepathic link. "We are both victims of the Ascendancy's twisted experiments. We don't have to be their weapons." Subject One hesitated, their eyes flickering with uncertainty. Zero pressed on, their voice filled with empathy and understanding. "We can choose our own path," they said. "We can be better than what they made us." For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Then Subject One's shoulders slumped, their weapon clattering to the floor. A single tear rolled down their cheek, a testament to the shared pain and the glimmer of hope that Zero had ignited. "You're right," Subject One whispered, their voice filled with a newfound vulnerability. "We are not weapons. We are something more." Together they turned their backs on the Ascendancy, their shared humanity a beacon of light in the darkness. Chapter 6, Chimera Rising. The galaxy held its breath as the stolen data crystals, filled with damning evidence of the Ascendancy's atrocities, were broadcast across the vast expanse of space. A wave of outrage rippled through oppressed human colonies and subjugated alien races, igniting a fire of rebellion that burned brighter with each passing day. Zero, Anya, Kale, and Drax stood at the forefront of this uprising, their ragtag coalition of rebels a beacon of hope in a galaxy shrouded in darkness. Their base of operations, a hidden asteroid fortress once belonging to the Ascendancy, buzzed with activity as human and alien soldiers alike rallied to their cause. "The tide is turning," Kale said, his voice echoing with telepathic resonance as he addressed the assembled forces. "The Ascendancy's reign of terror is coming to an end." Zero, standing beside Kale, their chimeric form a symbol of unity, nodded in agreement. "We will not be slaves to their twisted vision of the future," they declared, their voice amplified by Draken vocal enhancements reaching every corner of the fortress. "We will fight for our freedom, for our right to choose our own destiny." The cheers of the rebels echoed through the cavernous halls, a thunderous roar that shook the very foundations of the asteroid. Zero could feel their determination, their anger, their hope, surging through the telepathic bond that connected them. As the final assault on the Ascendancy's stronghold drew near, Zero sought out Dr. Thorne, the architect of their creation and the mastermind behind the Chimera Protocol. They found him in his private laboratory, a haunted figure surrounded by the tools of his twisted trade. Thorne looked up as Zero entered, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and regret. "You've come to kill me," he said, his voice barely a whisper. Zero shook their head. "No," they replied, their voice firm but not without compassion. "I've come to offer you a choice." Thorne raised an eyebrow, a flicker of curiosity in his eyes. "A choice? What choice do I have?" "Redemption," Zero said, their voice echoing with the wisdom of Kale and the strength of Drax. "Help us end this war. Help us dismantle the Ascendancy, and you may find a path towards forgiveness." Thorne stared at Zero for a long moment, his mind racing. He knew that his crimes were unforgivable, but the idea of redemption, of leaving behind a legacy of hope rather than destruction, was a tempting prospect. In the final battle, as Rebel and Ascendancy forces clashed in a maelstrom of energy blasts and superhuman feats, Dr. Thorne made his choice. He activated the hidden self-destruct mechanism within the Ascendancy's stronghold, sacrificing himself to ensure their defeat. As the base crumbled around them, Zero and their allies escaped, battered but victorious. The Ascendancy was no more, their reign of terror brought to an end. In the aftermath, Zero was hailed as a hero, a symbol of unity and hope. The Chimera Protocol, once a symbol of oppression, became a testament to the indomitable spirit of sentient beings and their capacity for choice. Zero, Anya, Kale, and Drax continued their journey, their bond forged in fire and tempered by adversity. They became guardians of the galaxy, protectors of the innocent, and champions of a brighter future. The Chimera Protocol had not only created a weapon, but it had also forged a hero, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of choosing one's own destiny.